Good evening. The Board of Zoning Appeals for April 12, 2017 is now in session. I would like to introduce my board. To my far left is Skip Sweeney and Jim Rowe. I am Ivan Valentic. To my right is Chris Jarrell and Blair Hamilton. To our far right is Heather Freeman, our zoning inspector. Under the advice of council, we ask that everyone when speaking tonight must be sworn in. So I would like to just have everyone please stand up and be sworn in tonight. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God? If so, say I do.
I do.
Thank you. Please be seated. Tonight, when you're presenting your case or commenting, please come up to the microphone and again state your name, confirm that you've been sworn in, and please provide your address for the record. Heather, were all the legal notices provided in a timely manner?
Yes, they were.
All right, thank you. Tonight we have 2 conditional use permits and 9 variances and some additional cleanup work that we have to do as a board. A 3-vote majority is required to either approve or deny your appeal. If the request is denied, you have the right to file an appeal. If this is the case, Heather can help you. Also, if there's a board member missing for an appeal, for whatever reason, which might come up tonight, you have the option to move forward with the board as is or wait to be tabled and we'll address that the next month. So first on the docket is the election of chair and vice chair.
Those abstains are 5-12, so
What's that? Okay.
5-12.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on election of chair, vice chair for the board?
Accepting nominations,
Can you, for the record, state those nominations?
I would nominate Ivan Valentic to serve 1 more year
Thank you.
and Skip Sweeney as vice chair.
All right. Any comments? Oh, we need a second, I'm sorry.
I second that.
All right. Happily. I would not move forward that I serve as chair for the next year, Skip as the vice chair, effective on our next meeting. I'll leave today's meeting as is. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's been passed. Thank you, everybody. Skip, I'm looking forward to a year. On the board
You
with you. All right. Next on the agenda is conditional use permit number 20171. Mr. Dan Irudibus, representing Vega Restaurant Group Ltd. Okay. Ruberbertus, thank you, is requesting a conditional use permit for a counter service restaurant in accordance with section 13.20 to operate a fast casual restaurant, Pizza Roto, at 7685 Trial Road, and being permanent parcel number 08-A-0-019-0-00-025-0. Please come up and present your case.
My name is Dan D. Roberts. I represent Vega Restaurant Group, doing business as Pizza Roto. I have been sworn in this evening, and my address is 5801 Southridge Road, Madison, Ohio.
Thank you. You want to just kind of just let the group know what
We are a fast casual pizza restaurant, being that it's you walk in, create your own pizza, and we're ready in about 5 minutes, cooking an excellent product. We have an operation now in Madison at Route 528, and we are currently looking to build out over here on Cryle Road in the new plaza. We'll be on the south end of the building with about 2,840 square feet, employing probably full staff of around 40 to 45 people. Not all will be there at the same time. Generally 8 to 10 during the day, and in the evenings may have as many as 14 or 15 people there. We are a clean operation. We're a company that cares about our employees and cares about the product. We have a great product, and we believe that the Concord market would be excellent for our product. We are open 7 days a week, and except for major holidays.
The opening hours are typically...
We open at 11 right now currently. We may open half an hour sooner, but generally around 11. And we stay open till 9, 10 on the weekends, and sometimes we close early on Sundays during the wintertime.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I apologize. I should have informed you, one of our members will not be able to vote, and she's going to recuse herself from this. Would you still like to move forward with the 4-person panel? Still need a majority?
I have no qualms about that.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any other questions? Larry?
Not at this point, no.
Okay, I don't have anything for you either.
That's it?
That's it for now. I'll let you know. Thank you. Is there anyone else here that's speaking for or against this conditional use permit? They'd like to come up? Okay, no one's coming up. There's no further questions. The public hearing for conditional use permit 2017-1 is now closed to the public. I will entertain a motion to approve conditional use permit 2017-1.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and there's been a second. It's open for discussion on the board. I'm happy to start. I mean, I don't
Looks
know.
great.
Yeah.
No, everything, the presentation, very complete. Their intent and the location.
If it, if it's the uses that we're looking for in that area.
For the record, I'll be abstaining from voting.
Thank you. Blair, any comments?
I think they will be able to comply with all the requirements of the zoning, so no
Okay.
comments.
Yeah, I looked at that too. They comply with everything. Okay, then the question is on the approval of conditional use permit 2017-1. A yes vote is for the approval of the conditional use permit. A no vote denies the permit. Heather, please call the vote.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes?
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
And Mr. Valenta?
Yes. Congratulations, your permit is approved. If you're going to leave, see Heather before you walk out of here today. Thank you. All right. Next on the agenda is another conditional use permit, number 2017-2. I'm going to butcher your name. Mr. Boomerang Fangfrey is requesting a conditional use permit for a counter service restaurant in accordance with section 13.20 to operate a counter service carry-out and delivery restaurant, Thai 999 Express at 9853 Johnny Cake Ridge Road, Unit 15, and being permanent parcel number 10-A-8-D-00-001-0. Please come up and present your case. Who's going to start?
I'll start. My name is Eric Andrews. I'm with USA Management, and we own and manage the shopping center where Thai 999 is looking to get a conditional use permit to occupy.
And I'm sorry, you've been
Yeah.
sworn in?
Yes,
And your address, please, for the record?
35110 Euclid Avenue, Willoughby, Ohio 44094.
Thank you, sorry. Go ahead.
So they are requesting a conditional use permit for a counter service restaurant to occupy a space that was previously a carryout. It was catering, Mana Catering, and prior to that it was Roman's Chicken Wings, which you might remember, since I was a kid. But I guess there was no conditional use permit on this space with the prior restaurants for whatever reason. So I believe one is required, and they're
Okay.
requesting one. It's going to be carry-out only. I have a menu here, but it's basic Thai food, noodle dishes, stir-fried rice, curry dishes, duck, fish, kind of stuff. Looks really good. And this is the owner and operators who have just located here from New York.
Well, welcome.
Welcome.
My name is Bambroom Pompe.
Okay.
I'm coming from
That was cool. That's
Feed My
right.
Wings.
I did my best.
And I'm Chancy Sabora, and I'm going to be helping him with the restaurant.
Okay.
So I'll be answering the phone
Okay.
most of the time.
Great. Does anyone have any questions for them on the board?
No, I mean, I know the location and the operate, that's it.
Similar to the
Yeah.
previous request, so.
Yeah.
Might be a little hotter food.
You can request for mild.
I'll be asking about that.
Okay. Well, you could be seated.
Okay.
Do we know what the hours are going to be?
Yeah.
It's going to be 11 till 9:30. We don't know what day yet. Right now, we're going to start with 7 days and see how we're going to pick which slow day we're going to have that day off or a slow day. So eventually, we're going to have 6 days, open 6 days, 11 till 9:30.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else speaking for or against this conditional use permit? Please come up. Okay, well, if there's no one else, then the public hearing for conditional use permit 2017-2 is now closed to the public. I will entertain a motion to approve conditional use permit 2017-2.
So moved?
Second?
Thank you. With the move in the second, we're ready to go. The question is on the approval of conditional use permit 2017-2. Yes vote is for the approval of the conditional use permit, a no vote denies the permit. Heather, please call the vote.
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
Ms. Gerald?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes?
And Mr. Valente?
Yes. Thank you. Congratulations, your permit has been approved. Again, see Heather before you leave. Okay, thank you. Next on our agenda is variance number 2017-1. Mr. Alan Lepeau is requesting a variance from section 15.03A, table 15.03-1 to allow for a second freestanding accessory building in lieu of the maximum one permitted for the property located at 8129 Viewmont Drive and being permanent parcel number 08-A-0-24-A-00-016-0. Please come up and present your case.
Hi. My name's Alan Lepeau. I live at 8129 Viewmount.
And you've been sworn in?
I beg your pardon?
You've been sworn in, sir?
Yes, sir.
All
Yeah.
right.
And Paul is my contractor representative, so I'll let him explain.
Okay.
I'm Paul Wenger. I have been sworn in. Address is 13650 Madison Road, Millfield. Representing Mr. LePeau and Highcraft Storage Farms, a company for accessory structures. And obviously, the paperwork presented shows you that Mr. LePeau needs an accessory structure. He's got a detached garage. He does not have an attached garage like a normal case. His current garage is 528 square feet. He's got 2 vehicles and obviously the normal homeowner tools. He's needed to take care of his yard and his property. And he's doesn't have room for his riding lawnmower and some wheelbarrows and stuff. So right now he's got a temporary structure fabric inflatable structure to shelter his tools that he doesn't have room for inside for over the winter, and he doesn't like it. And he's wanting to improve on that, so that's the reason we would like to have a storage shed for.
Is the, we don't have a picture of what the shed's gonna look like, how it's gonna appear. Can you maybe, do you have something or do you
I
want to
do.
describe it?
I was gonna supply that with your guys' paperwork, and I think I got that done. Something
You
like,
hand it to Blair so everyone can take a look. And I'd ask if we can you leave this with us and we make it part of the
Sure.
record? Thank you.
The building, when it's finished, if it's approved, is going to be staying the same as the house and the garage. It'll all match.
Okay.
It's a 10 by 14 building, and the doors will open toward the road.
Where will it be located roughly?
It'll be located to the, if you're looking at the house from view mount, it'll be on the right-hand side at the end of the drive, at the end of the asphalt driveway.
Okay.
So it's in close proximity to the house, but we have a walkway that goes down around back that'll be off to the right of that.
Yeah. And there's also like a roofed patio back there? Or?
It's a screen-in porch that's actually attached and part of the house, yes.
Oh, okay. And didn't walk back there, you might be a dog owner or something.
No, I'm not a dog owner. Used to be.
Is the location of the proposed unit in blue ink, in a square in your materials?
Oh,
Yeah, that's it, I think, right?
Okay,
There's a sketch.
just off the asphalt driveway?
oh, good eye.
Yeah, just at the end of it, about 5 feet out, because there's going to be a short ramp where I can drive the tractor up into.
What was that previously? That area where it's going to be built, is that,
Years ago, it was periwinkle and a railroad tie, and I took the railroad tie out and put gravel back there so I could have places for people to turn around. See, I'm right on the edge of a ravine, so,
Yeah.
you know, I can't even use the other side of my property.
yeah, I can see that.
Unless I can get a great big culvert and set in that creek and make a land bridge across the
What year was the house built?
1960, I believe.
And how
60
long-
or 66.
And how long have you been there?
11 years.
Okay.
And of course, when I bought the house, I was living in Florida, and except for the outside of it, I bought it sight unseen. So I didn't realize that there was a restriction of 2 acres and beyond and all that kind of stuff. And then as you live there longer, there's other things that you want to do, and
Yeah.
You may have said, but can you repeat, what's the size of the existing garage, square footage?
it's 528 feet,
Okay.
square feet.
Thank you.
It's 24 by 22.
Anyone else have any other questions for these gentlemen?
No.
I think you're good, you can have a seat.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here tonight speaking for or against this appeal?
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Walter Swick. I'm at 8145 Viewmont Drive. I've been sworn in. I am Al Lepo's next-door neighbor. I'm in complete accordance with what Al wants to do. Like he has explained, you know, the space is limited in that area. But in any event, I just wanted to let the board know that I'm in accordance with his plans.
Well, we appreciate you coming in and letting us know.
Thank
It means a
you.
lot to the board.
Thanks.
Hand it down.
Heather?
Is there anyone else here speaking for or against this appeal that wants to come up? Okay, there's no further questions. The public hearing for variance number 2017-1 is now closed to the public. Discussion from the board?
Motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. I will entertain a motion to approve variance number,
Blank, is there?
yeah, 2017-1.
So moved.
Second, anyone?
Second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. The question is on the approval of variance number 2017-1. A yes vote. Oh, I'm sorry, where am I going? A yes vote is for, I shouldn't be doing that. Now we
That's
have
okay.
discussion.
That's
Yeah,
all right.
Sorry. Listen here. Okay, let's discuss. Forget everything I just said.
It's a detached garage, so that just kind of makes
Screws
things
everything up.
hard. You've got the significant grade on the property, not a lot of room. He's got to put his tractor somewhere. And I think Blair's probably going to point out, is the square footage of the two combined accessory units don't even come close to what the parameter is in the resolution.
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Did I take your?
She stole your thunder a little
That's all I was
bit.
going to say.
You guys got anything?
I presume that the temporary structure will go away. That'll be a benefit.
Yeah, it's gonna be a much better situation for everybody. Okay, now I can
Now
say,
you can
the
say-
question is on the approval of variance number 2017-1. The yes vote is for the approval, the variance, and no one denies it. Please call the vote, Heather.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
Ms. Gerald?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Valente?
Yes,
And Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
your variance has been approved. Thank you very much. If you want to stay for the show, please stick around. If not, see Heather before you go.
Fireworks coming up?
See Heather before you get out of here. Okay. Everybody's ready? We have another one coming up.
Yep.
This is for appeal for variance number 2017-2. Mr. George Lunka, representing Regency Construction, is requesting a variance from section 15.04B, table 15.04-1 to allow for a 12.13-foot left side yard clearance in lieu of the 15-foot required for the property known as sublot 34 of Noble Bridge subdivision, and being permanent parcel number 08-A-000-004-F-00-011-0. Mr. Lunka,
Yes.
just so you know, we have a member that's going to recuse himself.
Okay.
So it'd be four panel, and you still need a majority to vote. Would you like to still move forward? with
Yes.
the variance? Okay.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
So my name is George Lunka. I'm with Regency Construction. We build homes here in Lake County. I have been sworn in. What we're asking for is, we have a pie-shaped lot that I've owned in Noble Ridge for, oh gosh, over 10, 12 years. And I'm getting ready to build for some clients on it. The home can fit on the lot with the given setbacks that we have and with the newly passed riparian easement that's in the rear yard. However, it only leaves us 25 feet to the right side of the garage, and side entry garages are required in Noble Ridge. On top of that, we would have a 2-foot retaining wall that you would be backing into downhill, trying to get out of your garage. So we're trying to keep with the new riparian easement that was passed last year in the back, but we're right up against it. Normally on a pie-shaped lot, if you have an issue with side clearance, you just slide the house back and it's not a problem.
Right.
We can't do that now and still maintain to the new riparian setback. When I purchased the lot in 2005, there was a riparian easement, but it was farther back down in the ravine. So that whole thing has since moved forward towards the street and made it a little more difficult to build on. So what we're asking for is a left side variance of approximately little under 3 feet, 2 feet and change, just for the front left corner of the house. You have the attached site plan that shows what we're looking for in terms of a setback of 12.13 feet instead of the 15 that's required. What I wanted to also show you is it's not a parallel lot, so it only really impacts, the area shaded in yellow is what would be over the side setback there. It's very little, it's less than 10 square feet that would go over that 15-foot side setback. So that enables us to get a 28-foot driveway on the right side of the house, and we feel it's going to make everything work a lot better for the homeowners. The house is approximately 3,500 square feet, which is in keeping with what's in Noble Ridge. This would be the 9th house we would have built in Noble Ridge. The other 8 we've built have ranged from 2,900 to actually 4,000 square feet. So this is right in the middle. It's not like we're trying to force a mansion into a lot, and it, you know, this is really for Noble Ridge. It's right up the alley, and we feel it'll maintain the valuations that the current residents of Noble Ridge already have.
Okay. You have anyone have any questions?
No, I mean, it's, again, well laid out.
Yeah.
It's very clean, and pretty minimal.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, please have a seat.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else speaking for the appeal or against? If they want to please come up. Thought maybe you're coming up. Okay. If there's no further questions, the public hearing for variance number 2017-2 is not closed to the public. I will entertain a motion to approve variance number 2017-2.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, been the second discussion for the board. Anyone have anything? I'm good with it. It's,
I think you did a good job accommodating the new language in the resolution, and it's minimal
Yeah.
request.
I do the same thing he did. I'm looking at it, it's just that little corner, so.
Yeah, I think once it's there, you'd be hard pressed to pick it out. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, if somebody said a word,
Yeah.
you know. No,
3 feet,
but
yeah.
good luck.
Okay. If that's the case, the question is on the approval of variance number 2017-2. A yes vote is for the approval of the variance, a no vote denies the variance. Heather, please call the vote.
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
Ms. Gerald?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes,
Mr. Valente?
Yes. Ayes have it, your variance has been approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Again, if you're going to leave, see Heather first. A lot of people are on that one. Okay. Next on our agenda is variance number 2017-3. Mr. George Davis, representing Pro-Built Homes, is requesting a variance from section 17.04B and 17.07A to allow for soil disturbing activities related to the construction of a dwelling and the placement of a concrete sidewalk with a 0-foot riparian setback in lieu of the 25-foot required for the property known as Sublot 100 of Mountainside Farms, and being permanent parcel number 08-A-023-E-00-082-0 and 10-A-023-E-00-006-0. Mr. Davis, welcome.
Thank you for everyone's time. George Davis, address is 7962 Butler Hill Drive, Concord, Ohio. I have been sworn in. So this will be my first of 4 appearances today. Other than Mr. Rowe, I was here, you might remember I was here last fall for a very similar issue in Mountainside Farms. Last fall we were here with regards to sublot 38. There was a creek in the front yard, and the committee graciously granted us the variance, which allowed us to clear in the riparian, allowed us to grade in the riparian, and allowed us to place the front sidewalk to the front door in the riparian. At that time, we worked with Chad from Soil and Water and accommodated his request, which was changing some of the grading and so on and so forth. We used those same guidelines in sublot 100 and in the next area I'm going to talk about. So the goal was there to was to smooth the grade, not fill all the way to the high water line. That's what we've done here on sublot 100. We do need to clear the entire riparian. It's the front yard of the home, and we do need the sidewalk to encroach into the riparian. Mountainside Farms was originally laid out much prior to this riparian being instituted. This road itself actually is in the riparian in some lots. These lots were platted prior to the institution of the riparian. So what we are hoping for is that the committee will continue to grant similar variances like we did on sublot 38. And we are fairly close to being complete on sublot 38. You know, we haven't done the final grade, but if you have driven through there, you can see how, you know, we tried to smooth the grade, and you know, the homeowners will be doing their landscaping in the spring.
And I think we have to separate that other case, and we have to look at these case by case. So I want to just focus on this one because there's a couple of things that popped out to me. And one, we didn't get any feedback from soil and water on this one, like we did the last time. There aren't any recommendations or sketches.
No, I thought Chad was going to possibly come this evening, but
he's not here. I don't see Chad. So,
Chad's request was that Chad did have these, and if you remember, he had us, we didn't have the high water mark properly marked, and Chad had us change those on the site plan. So he did review them. I don't know if we have formal reply from him, but
okay.
You know, he did have us make some alterations, especially to sublot 100.
Okay, so can you walk us through a little bit? The sublot was, the plot by the county was approved based on their riparian setbacks for the county when they plotted this road, this part of the subdivision. And in that plot, they showed the homes located much further back and not impacting the riparian right away. So I agree that the Concord Township zoning, riparian zoning wasn't in place, but the county's was at the time, correct, Heather? Tell me if I'm wrong, jump in. And when the road was plotted, these sublots were plotted, that was taken into account with the layouts and dimension and design of the plots. Were you aware of that?
I would like to speak on that, and then also the engineer that did this phase of the subdivision. The riparian does not appear on that plat or the as-built. And as evidence that the county didn't think there was a riparian there, they allowed the road to be in the riparian. So if the county did have the riparian setback in effect, they didn't incorporate it into this plat, which was phased, you know, the last phase of a subdivision that started well prior to the riparian. And I think it might be helpful for you to speak on that as well.
Joe Gutowski, 10135 Gottschalk Parkway, Sugar Falls, Ohio. I have been sworn, yes.
Thank you.
All right, so going back to the grading plan, basically when we did the grading plan, it was just kind of the most expedient to get the lots in, because we showed like 10% grades in that. When we put these grading plans together here, we worked with George, and if you look at the footprint that we worked in here, it's like 70 by 60, like 4,200 square feet. And the reason we did that is it's so we can kind of get the lots pre-approved and give somebody to work within that block. We don't expect that whole block to be built within, so some of this grading that we're showing in the front may not happen so much in the riparian. What we're looking at is worst case scenario. And going back to the other thing, if you look at, let's see, we're doing sublot 100. If you look at sublot 100, you can kind of see we have like where the 25-foot riparian setback would be on the east side. And if you look at where that is, it actually is within the right-of-way. You can see where that fire hydrant is, that it's actually going through that. And it's, you know, it varies from like 5 to like 20 feet, give or take, off the edge of the pavement. And we graded all in there, and we actually graded down into, within 5 feet of ordinary high water when we created the development on that whole side of the street with the
On
intent.
the, so just so.
So on the east- so
on
on-
the Burgundy Court side, that was already graded when they created the road, is that what you're saying?
Yes, we graded all that. I guess my point would be if it was within the riparian, at that point when we platted the road, I don't believe the county would have allowed us to put the road in and grade within the riparian right-of-way. If it was in effect when we, put the road in. Because the road went in 2015, and the subdivision was platted in 2015 for this phase. And again, as George had mentioned, this was the final phase of a multi-phase subdivision that started in 2002. And this was the last road to go in.
A couple other things I think that are important to talk about here is the rear of these lots have a 40-foot tree easement. So any trees that are 10 inches or larger and healthy have to be left. So if you look at that grading plan that was set up when they platted the subdivision, they actually have the back wall of the house at the 40-foot rear setback. That's impractical. These are $500,000-$600,000 houses. I don't know anybody that buys a $500,000 or $600,000 house and doesn't do a deck or a patio or want to have some sort of a backyard. You're not just going to walk out your back door and have a tree 2 feet off the back of your house. Most of the residents in Mountainside Farms, they put $100,000 in their backyard, pools, large patios, gazebos, screen porches and stuff like that. So when we were laying this out, our goal was, we deal with the general public every day. We know what they're expecting. For a house of this magnitude, they really need a 60-foot rear yard. It's, any less than that, and they're just not going to purchase, because they can't, they only get 20 feet till you hit the 40-foot riparian, or I'm sorry, the 40-foot tree easement, where you have to start leaving trees. So the only practical way to clean this up, ideally, if Mountainside Farms hadn't been started yet, the whole roads would have been differently, so these creeks were in the rear yards. But since Mountainside started in 2002, when the riparians didn't exist, the whole layout was generated the way it is today, where you have creeks in the front yard of Daisy Hill, you have the creeks in the front yard along Caribou, and then you have the creek in the front yard along the west side of Burgundy. So, all we're asking is that they would allow us to finish out the subdivision with the rules that were in accordance at the time. And we're not asking to put any of the homes in the riparian. We're placing the house so the face of the garage, per what Chad had asked, was a few feet off the riparian, Chad from Soil and Water. And then we're doing whatever grading necessary to make the front yard usable, but not to fill all the way and create a steep bank at the high water mark. And we're not encroaching in the high water mark of the stream at all.
But just so you understand, all the grading work that you're doing in that riparian area is all an impact. Correct. Yeah. Okay.
Is it correct to say that the riparian only intersects the road at the cul-de-sac?
It intersects the road at the cul-de-sac, but what we're trying to say is it's in the right-of-way a great deal of the way.
Mm-hmm.
In that right-of-way is where all the utilities were set. There's been a bunch of fill that was placed in that riparian, back when the road was put in. There's a little confusion on Burgundy because there's some say that, maybe the county had a riparian in place at the time. It did not appear on this plat. It did not appear on the as-built. And as evidence, I would say that they weren't enforcing it was the fact that they let the grading happen where the road was and they let the road encroach. So then we're talking about the Concord riparian, which was instituted in July of last year.
Where is the sidewalk on here? I was having trouble
It's not shown.
seeing that.
Yeah, typically the front walks are never shown on a site plan. We didn't do it on sublot 38. We just hug the face of the garage. Everybody sort of has it. The front of you have a sidewalk a couple feet off the face of the garage, and then it wraps around to the front door.
Okay.
So couldn't we have tried to pull that grading in a little bit more to I mean, we're trying to, what we want to do is work with you on these and try to minimize or, you know, give you enough space where you can do what you need to do and reduce how much impact we have to that riparian corridor, knowing full well that sounds like parts of it were disturbed at some point, but,
I can address that now.
sure.
When
This one is slightly different because the actual house is on there. The rest of them is there.
Yeah, when we worked with George, we tried to basically like a 6-foot flat area and then start to slope down.
Looks like you got more than that in front of the garage.
Okay, I didn't realize.
Well, what we were trying to do here, on this one, on sublot 100, we actually have a home to build on that. The other 3 are the blocks, you know, because what we're struggling with here is, you know, imagine if I'm the builder trying to talk to a customer and I say, hey, okay, I might be able to build you a house on this lot. I need your money. We need to draw a blueprint. We need to do a site plan. And then we got to go to the zoning appeals board. And then if they'll let us put the house where you would normally want it, then we could proceed. We've tried to do that since July of last year, and no one's interested in that, right? You know, no one wants to spend that money not knowing if they can do it. So on those ones, we're trying to, on the 3 that we're not talking about now, we're trying to establish a generic house so that we can say to the homeowners, hey, this is what your front yard's going to look like. We got this pre-approved.
Yeah, let's just hold off on that
Okay.
conversation. So
On this one, though, this is an existing home.
This will be the shape of the home here.
Right.
Yeah, this will actually.
This is the
I wasn't
actual-
aware of
Yeah,
that.
and what we're trying to do on this one is there's a height of that culvert that, you know, there's a culvert. Did you guys go and look at did you guys walk around out there? Did you see those metal, or those concrete culverts that are in there? So the culvert height is set. And so all we're trying to do is, you know, no one wants to fall off their driveway, right? So we're trying to make it so that, you know, the driveway has a sort of a linear movement to it, and that the grade goes down. I actually took some pictures of sublot. This is sublot 38, which we're wrapping up right now, and I'm only going to show it to you because it has a similar culvert. And, you know, we match the grade so it sort of blends around the culvert height, so someone, other than at the actual bridge, they're not maybe falling off of the driveway with the car. So if you want to look at, this picture's a little more evident. So, you know, we're taking the grade and sort of moving right around that, which is exactly what was okayed on 38.
I guess what I was wondering is, can some of those grades get pulled back in front of the garage? So we could, you know, have less fill down near the stream. I know you're not filling below the ordinary high water mark, but could we, you know, fill less down in that area and give that channel more capacity?
Couple of comments there. Could I sort of point it out on your plan?
Sure.
Or maybe I can do it with this plan. So the thing about sublot 100 is the riparian is sort of angling this way. So we actually, if you look here, we're the same distance into the riparian all here. It's just it's pulling away from the house because of this angle. The concern I have with that is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're 7 feet above the stream bottom. So what I want to try to do, so that someone doesn't roll their car, you know how people are, they're backing out of their driveway. We want to have it so that this area that is a drop off where we have to put like a bridge wall doesn't have to proceed 15 feet along the sidewalk, you know, or along the driveway. So yeah, theoretically I could pull all these lines in, but now we would have a 7-foot cliff all the way along here, which is not very practical for a homeowner. It's somewhat dangerous, you know, along a driveway like that. You know, most of the residents in Mountainside Farms either have kids, you know, so you have kids trying to ride their bike, they're gonna fall off a 7-foot bank. It's just not very practical, or you have, you know, an empty nester maybe getting a little elderly and they're backing out of their driveway. So we did it on this lot this way because the riparian is angling at the same time. But, you know, the riparian most definitely created some hardship, you know, to try to make these lots buildable so that people would purchase them.
Okay. question, Skip?
Yeah, I'm confused on exactly what the violation is and what he's asking for.
Oh, one other thing, you had mentioned about the flow in the stream. So, I don't know how familiar you are with that area of Mountainside, but at the top of that cul-de-sac is like a 30-foot cliff coming off of where Lake Erie College filled back many, many years ago. The water that comes down this little stream is just the water that's generated in that area from the cliff north. Every one of these houses per Lake County Stormwater has to have a yard drain in it. And those yard drains don't go to this creek, they get piped and they join into the pond down at the bottom of Caribou. So, and I mean, maybe this is my theory, but my theory is there's very little to no flow in this stream once all the houses get built, because all the water's going to the yard drain. The downspouts, we have to tie them in per stormwater anymore because there was too much volume. So we're tying in the downspouts, all the yards are graded to go to the yard drains. So at the end of the day, you know, all the road water's going to the storm drain. There's very little surface water that wouldn't be piped that would be using the stream anyways. You know, if that's a concern of the board.
And you can't move the house back?
You
Because
can, but people aren't, I mean.
they're
would
going
you
to
buy
object to a 50-foot backyard versus a 60-foot backyard?
With, actually, I would say you're talking about a 20 or a 10-foot backyard, because after 40 feet, we have to leave the woods. You know, we can't put, you know what I mean, the trees, we're leaving the trees, so we can't smooth the grade or anything, because if you put dirt around the trees die. So, you know, in reality here, yes, it's 50 feet or 60 feet, but the truth of it is, it's 10 or 20 with the.
So in this
with the
tree,
trees.
I mean, it's a restriction with the homeowners association, right?
Yeah, and that was requested by the township when the subdivision was put in.
And it was 10 inches or greater that you
10
can't-
inches or greater,
You can't clear?
right.
What's the vegetation like back here on the back of this property? I mean,
The trees have never, you know, it's just natural forest, so pretty much guarantee you there's 10-inch trees there. You know, some of the other ones, maybe there weren't, but, you know, I don't recall this one specifically.
The deed
But,
restriction says that those trees can be requested to be removed if they want to put an accessory structure back there.
Only an accessory structure, not the house. They can't be removed for the house.
But, no, I understand, but, I mean, the restrictions could be changed. They could be amended.
That would be, as the
Have
gentleman.
you talked with the homeowners association?
I live in the subdivision.
Uh-huh.
And you know, I've had people threaten to tie themselves to trees, call the police on me every time we clear in the subdivision. You can look at the sheriff's logs, you know, they call the police every time we clear a lot. And, you know, they want to make sure we're not taking anything over 10 inches. We photograph every tree when we clear every lot. The subdivision is extremely sensitive to the 10-inch tree requirement.
question on the home here, just, how does, this is what, like a eating area, dinette area, I'm guessing?
Yes.
How does that area, we don't have any doors or windows, how does that area work? Where are the doors, where are the windows?
It's a sunroom, so, you know, it's like the, what you call the dinette.
Yeah.
You know, where the informal dining is. So there's windows all around it, and there's a sliding door to the side of it.
So if you, say you pushed it back 5 feet, you have the doors on the side, so any patio would probably be maybe to either side anyway. I mean, I think if we pushed it even back 5 additional feet, I think that would give you some, I don't know, maybe relief, or in that riparian area, maybe then you're not feeling a little bit less in that riparian area.
So here's the problem with that. I thought of all this, but, so if you look at these hard lines, these are the grades that we have to do. So Lake County Stormwater requires that we control our own water. So we have to collect all the water on the uphill side. This is a pretty severe hillside, right? So these are walkout basements on the downhill side, just like the rest of, you know, Mountainside on the hill. I'm sure you guys have been back there. So all of these hard grade lines are where we are cutting the grade to create the swale that directs the water to the yard drain. We can't do that in that 40-foot tree easement because we would be everything's a cut, you know, we're cutting for the swale. So we would be cutting the root structure of those trees that are over 10 inches. So we have to try to contain our grading. So if you look here, I mean, it may seem like 5 feet wouldn't hurt anything, but then that swale would be right off the rear of the house. Because if you look here, this is our swale right here, you know? So there's not, you know, trying to tighten that up 5 more feet is gonna make it almost seem like a creek has back there. So it's a function of the fact they're half-acre lots with $500,000 to $600,000 houses. And, you know, we have a 50-foot setback, which we're already as far off as that as we could go to stay out the riparian. This would be the 50-foot setback normally. So, you know, it's difficult. You know, ultimately, you know, we sort of talked about this last time, saleability versus practicality. You know, whether you know, yes, you could put this house, push it all the way back, put it on that tree easement, and you could build it, but there would be no buyers for that house. You know, you have to imagine if you couldn't use your backyard. You know, if you know, and imagine if it was a $500,000 or $600,000 house. It gets difficult. You know, the subdivision would have been laid out dramatically different if this
I don't think we're
riparian
suggesting that you go completely into that 40-foot tree easement, for lack of a better terminology. But, I mean, Mr. Davis, you do these developments all the time. So what happens when the township has an ordinance versus the homeowners association deed restrictions? What takes precedence?
I'm not a lawyer. I wouldn't know that answer. You know, but they both weren't in existence at the same time. You know, there was the one that was there. You know, and actually it was the township that requested the tree easement. You know, they want buffering from the surrounding properties, right? So, you know, that's when Mountainside was approved a long time ago. The buffering for the tree easement was part of, you know, what the townships requested. Almost all cities request those.
I don't know, the backside of that looks like it's a significant distance from any other structure. I don't know if anything else has been platted over here.
That's property that's owned by Lake Erie College.
Okay. Anyway, I guess I don't mean to be difficult, but I mean, I would venture to guess that the ordinance of the township would probably take precedence. Maybe I'm wrong. However, there is language in these restrictions that you could get it modified even if you were to adjust it by only 10 feet and move it back a little bit. And I would venture to guess that the parcel would still be saleable. And I know that would be a difficult endeavor, and I don't want you to get hung in the trees.
Yeah, so I'm going to be the one building a $600,000 house that may or may not ever sell because I have no backyard.
You really think 10
You know, it's tough,
feet,
right?
10 or 15 feet is going to have that huge effect on it?
Well, yeah, because understand, in a subdivision of this caliber, typically this is what customers are doing. They're doing multi-level patios or decks that include, a lot of times they include a pool, right? So like you need 50 feet or so to be able to do that, right? You can't really have that here because of the tree easement. You know, an accessory structure, that would be up to you. I mean, that's whether a pool counts as an accessory structure, I don't know. In my mind, accessory structure is a detached building, right? So you can clear that tree easement for a detached building. Per the restriction, you can't clear it for the house. And, you know, I don't know if you could clear it for a pool. That would be something up for interpretation. But in general, you know, if you can imagine if you're living in a $500,000 house and you have either a 50 or a 60-foot rear yard where you can mow it all, that's plenty. But where you have it where you have trees that you have to leave for the first 40 feet, then you're talking about 20 or 10 feet. So I would say every foot counts. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, most people's deck, if they do a deck, is going to be 16 feet.
Right, but when I scaled it off, I got 23 feet, but give or take a foot, so there's some fluff in there. But I think you admitted that you could fit a swale in there if it was, you know, 15 versus 20. It just might not look the same as what's drawn here. Is that a fair statement?
Well, it's about saleability again, right? So, you're talking about a swale that's really tight, so it's real steep, right?
Sure,
So
exactly.
it looks like you have another creek in your backyard that's difficult to mow, whereas this swale here is spread out, so it just looks like a slight V, which
Okay.
is what most people want. In some subdivisions and in some cases, we have no choice but to do a tight swale, and I can tell you the landscapers always fill it in, and then the water runs downhill, and then I get the call and we gotta go out and mediate with soil and water and stormwater and the client and say, hey, your landscaper filled in the swale, landscaper says the swale was too deep, it looked bad. You know, it's a tough situation, you know what I mean? I really wish that the trustees would have invited some of us from the developer and builder side in to talk about some of these existing subdivisions before they just put this on everything. It made it, you know, otherwise we.
That's a separate issue, and there were, I'm sure,
Yeah.
plenty of public meetings as part of our process, and anyone could have came and spoke on that, so. But to stay on this, the door is on the side, so I think there's opportunities for a 16-foot multi-level deck on either side of the side yard if the sliding door is on the side as well.
If I moved it
You're
back.
never gonna really put it in the back.
If I moved it back 3 feet, would that appease the board?
I would say, I'm not looking for a specific number. I'm looking to have you say, we'll move it back as, you know, this is the best we can do and this is how far we can move it back. You know, if it's
As
3
I
feet
look
or
at
10
this-
feet or,
I could move it 3 feet and make it work on this one. You know, it's only that face of the garage that's even tight to the riparian if you look here. You know, the rest of the house is, you know, is far off. Only this part is real close. So if we move this part back 3 feet, everything else comes way off of it. And I can move the grades back the same 3 feet.
yeah, we would like to
Yeah.
see everything move back. The point again is that when you're filling, it's not, I know you're filling above the ordinary high water mark, but there's still water that might go up above that, and that reduces the capacity and function of that stream through that. I mean, that's the focus. I mean, it's not just the channel, it's that whole riparian corridor. And your impact's still huge on that riparian corridor. You're still grading a majority of it, 90% or so. And we're still putting in turf versus native vegetation, which is the whole goal of these riparian corridors. So we feel like we're giving a lot here if we do approve this.
And if you could just try to understand mine and the developer, you know, the developer Larry Nadler's here, these didn't exist when the subdivision went in. So it doesn't feel very American when someone takes what was yours, right? And so, you know, it's hard because, you know, we would have laid out the subdivision differently if the riparian existed at that time. You know, so, you know, I said it when I was in here the last time. You know, there's going to be a lot of upset residents over this. You know, there's many, many homes in Mountainside where their house is in the riparian now, and when they go to do a deck, and, you know, the volume of work here in these existing subdivisions is very large because it wasn't thought of, you know, so it's hard to pass you know, it's basically like passing a retroactive law. You know, it makes it very difficult on existing roads. So that's what we're struggling with here, and I'm not trying to be difficult. You know, all we want to do, you know, it's not a benefit to anybody to leave those vacant lots there forever. Trees fall, you know, we're constantly getting calls from the neighbors worrying about trees falling on their houses. You know, all we want to do is build the houses so that the, you know, the construction traffic can stop and people can enjoy their lives, right? You know, because construction is a disturbance. So we're just trying to figure out a way that we can sell these lots, and then on future subdivisions, now that we know there's this riparian, we design them differently.
You have anything to add, sir?
Yes, I do.
Come on up.
Yeah, just the question was, you know, you're looking at the capacity within the riparian to carry the flow. What George had stated before, there's only, like, for this lot, there's only like 2 lots upstream that contribute any flow, because what happens at the south end of the subdivision, there was apparently like an old bridle path, so the earth is like mounded up, and the drainage behind it is kind of blocked, and it goes around this mounding that they created, and like discharges west of the subdivision. So there's really only, like at sublot 100, there's only like two half-acre lots that are contributing to that drainage area. So the flow through there is minimal.
Okay.
It's not like when we looked at the other one, that sublot 38, that had a lot of acreage coming through that lot. This one only has a couple sublots going through it, sublot 100.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you want to?
Well, Hold on, were there any other questions from the board for these two gentlemen?
Well, yeah, I may, depending on the answer I get from Heather, my question to Heather.
Okay.
I'm a little confused here. I want to back up a second. I want to know what the violations are. I mean, I know what they're stated, but as I'm looking here, I'm not seeing, is it the grading violation?
It's the grading of the land and the
Right.
filling, and then also.
And the filling, and then the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Now, I don't see the sidewalk, so I'm assuming it encroaches on the riparian setback. Right?
It's the clearing too,
Okay.
you're not allowed to
Right.
clear in.
I know, I'm trying to oversimplify this because I get easily confused. Now, and the sidewalk is not on the drawings, correct?
Sidewalks are, the front walks are never put on the site plans. You know, it's gonna be like 2 feet off, you know, you're gonna have 2 foot of bed, and then
Right.
you got a 3 foot wide sidewalk. So that's why we show that like little bit of flat area.
Swinging around to the front door.
Sidewalk flat.
So if you move the house back, excuse me for one
Yeah.
moment, Skip, if you move the house back 3 feet, then we've got, what, 2 feet of the sidewalk still?
Just, it would, in this plan, in this version, this house here, if we move the house back 3 feet, which I can do and still make this work, this 3 feet here, so then just a little bit of the sidewalk on that corner would encroach. On 38, the whole sidewalk will encroach. We haven't ordered that, but, you know, it will encroach.
Yeah, we knew that when we did that one.
I'm sorry, Skip,
Yeah, I
I
just wanna make
No,
sure.
it's
that-
all right.
interrupted your train of thought there.
No. Is this house sold?
No, this is our model.
This is a spec house?
I have to build this as a model so that I can get people to buy the other lots, right? I'm under contract with the developer to purchase the rest of the lots in the subdivision. And we can't sell those lots because right now, here's what I tell everybody. You might be able to build a house there. I'm not sure where it can go. They changed the riparian, they put a riparian in here that wasn't there when we put the road in. And we got a variance on 38, but we're not sure what we can get over here. So in speaking with Larry, the decision was, we'll put a model on one of them so that we can show what it's gonna look like, so we can then sell the other 3. Otherwise, it's virtually impossible.
And you got a tree easement, though, that's always been there.
Yes, tree
It's never
easement's
been
always
up.
been there. No. Tree
It's
easement's
always been known.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you for the clarification.
Anyone else have questions? You too good? Anyone?
For now.
Come on now.
Good evening. Larry Nadler, I'm the developer of Mountainside Farms, 3659 Green Road, Beechwood. I guess what
You've been
George...
sworn in, sir?
I have, yes.
Thank
I
you.
guess what George basically was saying, I mean, he's building the size houses that people want at Mountainside. Could he build a smaller house? Sure, but will it sell? I mean, the houses there are a certain square footage, they're a certain price, 500,000, 600, and some are more, are bigger than that, and more expensive. So he's got to put a house up there that he's going to have customers for. And you know, the fact that the riparian setback was not there before, I mean, we paid Joe to design the subdivision, and we could have paid him to design it differently. But at the time, there wasn't a riparian setback, so we designed it the way it was shown there. And we're just trying to build it, and I know the homeowners association would love for all the houses to get built. There's about 10 or 11 lots total that are in there that were done, and then we're out of there. We're out of there here, and everybody's happy. The streets are clean, and all the landscaping looks good, and everybody's done.
How many square feet is this house?
This one's about 3,200 square feet, I think, right?
Yeah,
I didn't bring the
You know what,
house
the
plan.
denied zoning permit was in your application too. Just over 3,000.
Oh, 3,000.
And that's the minimum for a two-story.
Well, 27, in this case, it's a first-floor master, so 2,700 was the minimum.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. You guys can be seated. Is there anyone else here speaking for or against this appeal that wants to come up? Chad, could you please come up?
Chad Edgar, Lake County Soil and Water, and I was late, so I have not been sworn in.
Oh, perfect. All right. Chad, let me find my notes.
125 East Dairy.
125 East Dairy Street.
Yeah. Okay, do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God? If so, say I do.
I do.
Thank you, Chad. We're only focusing on the first one right now, sub lot 100.
Right.
You're up here. If you want to say anything in regards to this plan specifically, and then let the board ask you any questions that they may have.
Sure, sure. You know, again, these lots are similar to the other lot in Mountainside that was laid out, obviously before the setback, so it's tough. I think the approach I would like to see was do the grading on the east side of that stream would be to just smooth in the grade to be able to plant a lawn rather than having any fill shown on that. The grading on the west side of the stream, closest to the house, you know, obviously George has stated his case of, you know, what he needs to have is a saleable lot. It's pretty tight. My biggest concern with the grading is it is encroaching into that floodplain down there and reducing the capacity for floodwaters, no matter how small the stream is. That's occurring, and the area where it seems to be the steepest, tightest grade up against the stream is on the outside of that meander right there, which is kind of problematic. It'd be nice to see some of that grading curved to follow the meander of that stream and pull it back as far as possible. If you can move that house back any further, it'd be a better scenario.
Can you explain to the board why that outside meander might be problematic? Because you're the expert. I don't think we're all aware of what the issues could be.
The outside of the meanders are where you have the most erosion on a stream bank. When flow goes through streams, it's not laminar flow, it's turbulent flow. When it hits the outside of those streams, it's actually helical coming through there, and you get that down cutting on the outside of the meander, which is why you get pools. So having a really tight bank close to the stream right there just sets it up for failure.
Yeah, it sounds like the 3 foot, moving it back 3 feet will help some.
Help some.
Some.
So it looks like we've got about, I don't know, 4 feet of elevation that's really steep as it approaches the stream.
And I don't know that you're going to be able to fix that short of changing the elevation of the house. You know, the steepness could be changed to other areas. You could have it steeper closer to the house, but then you've got a safety issue and an aesthetic issue. So it ends up being a trade-off of how do you want to play out those grades? You have a uniform slope where the whole thing's a little bit steeper. You want to have your steepness away from the stream and closer to the house. Then you've got the safety issue. Do you want to have a steepness down closer to the stream, deal with the erosion issue? Tight lots, streams, setbacks, lots of fun.
Is there any questions for the board?
No, he's explained
I mean, the comments are the same as we did on 38 2 months ago, 3 months ago when we did this, so. Be for the rest of them.
Dare we ask what would be a good scenario as far as distance and minimizing all these things? You don't have to answer that.
No,
I put you on the spot, I know.
You know, I apologize. Heather gave me this packet 2 weeks ago. I couldn't have bought time to give you the written comments. I've had a truck full of money this week. It's not making excuses, but the further back you can move that house, you know, there's other options other than swales. And you can do some surface drains back there like he has, shallow up your swales a little bit, do some French drains. So if you need to tighten it up a little bit, that can be addressed.
I mean, yeah, it's.
I guess I would let George give you a number and we could weigh in on it at that point in time, but
Okay.
that 3 feet buys you quite a bit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can you come back up? I have the engineer back up too, I'm sorry. That grade, is that a 1-to-1 when it gets right there tight in that corner? Is that-
You gotta speak up.
Yes, yeah, that is a one-to-one. I asked George about that.
I can pull it back 3 feet.
George, do you want to explain
Yeah.
where the slope is steep here, what you're going to do with that?
Yeah.
What's the one-to-one?
Just so you know, where the slope is steepest here, we were gonna do one of those natural rock walls there. I just asked Chad if that helps him or not. He said no, but moving it back does. So, I can move it back to 3 feet, and then where these real steep lines are, that's gonna be that natural rock wall.
How'd you come up with 3 feet?
Because what I'm looking at here is trying to not, and again, I don't know the exact distance. I know there's a couple of big trees right here, which I'm gonna have to leave, right? So I just know, I'm like, okay, well, if I clear, and I'm speaking off the top of my cuff, I didn't measure these, but I know that those trees are like at 35, 36 feet or so. Because I always look at them because, like I said, the residents there are really crazy about the trees. So I know I got a couple of trees that I gotta keep, and I'm just saying, okay, if I go back 3 more feet, I can still get that swale without it being so steep. I might have to do a French drain in there, which he's talking about, so then I don't have to make it as deep. I'm just trying to make it so that the backyard is still usable for the homeowner. Because what ends up happening here is down at the walkout, they have a lower level patio, and then they always have an upper level deck where it's higher, right? So just trying to make sure I can make it all work where I can still sell the product. And I'd be, if you guys, if you were so gracious enough to grant the variance, if you wanted to stipulate that, I would move it 3 feet back and then work with Chad on the grades, I'm willing to stipulate to that, and then whatever Chad comes up with, we'll work to that. Because, we'll have to change them for Chad, I think, a little bit.
Because Chad's my...
So Chad's in control.
Whatever, huh?
Well, you know what I mean.
It's on tape, too.
It's TV. All right. Well, you guys got anything else?
No.
No? Blair, you good down there?
I'm pretty good. My concern is how steep the grade is going into the.
That meander.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
We'll pull that back 3 feet and we'll rock that, so it'll, when I put the rocks there, it'll actually probably come, because I'll show rocks on the site plan, so maybe it'll be 5 feet off that dog leg that Chad was concerned about.
Is there anyone else here speaking for or against this appeal that would like to come up? Okay, if there's no further questions, the public hearing for variance number 2017-3 is now closed to the public. I would like to entertain a motion to approve variance number 2017-3.
So moved?
Second.
Okay.
I want to put on the record as amended by the applicant.
Yes, as amended by the applicant.
So moved.
And second.
Okay. Anyone want to say anything for this discussion?
I just kind of want to say, I'm not speaking for the board, I'm speaking for myself. And Mr. Davis, I get it. This is tough. It's like a pre-existing condition kind of thing. And, it's always tough when government and the private sector clash like this. And this is a doozy. And I don't think any of us enjoy this. We really don't. So what we're trying to do is find compromise as much as we can. And, I know there's a lot of variables at play with the deed restrictions and all the residents and the tree-loving people. I love those trees too. But the fact of the matter is there's these riparian setbacks have been put in place to protect the residents as well. And, with all the flood waters and et cetera, I don't want to get into all that. But I think I just wanted to say for the record that we have to arrive at some kind of balance and compromise and do the best we can because the situation stinks. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, the word compromise is the perfect thing to note here, that we're trying to find a compromise that everybody, try to improve the situation, and be able to help Mr. Davis build homes here.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's willing to move this one 3 feet is a compromise. Wish it was more, but, to start. Anyone else have anything?
All right, I can start. Chad's got a little bit smile back there and all that.
He's got control now of everything, yeah.
Looking large.
Again, for the board, I just, in my view, we gotta really look at these as a case by case. I mean, there's some similarities, but when we get into the details on some of them, they are, each one is a little bit different, in my opinion. There's any further discussion?
Well,
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that, but for the retroactive riparian setbacks, this wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
And I mean, period. And I have a real problem with that from a governmental standpoint. And I love the environment, but to impair someone's business interests like this in a retroactive way, I just think is unfair. Now, I think the answer to it is, like you said, Yvonne, is a compromise. And I think that the developer and the builder have stepped up and they've done everything they can. I really do. But I have a disdain for this issue, and we're going to revisit it over and over again. And I mentioned this a couple of meetings back. And I know you don't want to look at it in a group sort of sense, but my concerns are going to be the same every single time. That we're forcing these people to adopt something that they had no knowledge of when they got into it, and I just think it's unfair.
Well, it's our job to get us through this process, Skip, so
Well, and I think
that's what we're trying to do here.
In addition to that, I think that when you measured this issue on this particular case with the Duncan factors, I don't think that I think it's too much of a detriment against the builder. So.
Okay.
I agree with your sentiment, Skip.
All set then? Okay, on that, the question is on the approval of variance number 2017-3. A yes vote is for the approval of the variance, a no vote denies it. Heather, please call the vote.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
Ms. Gerald?
Yes.
Mr. Valente?
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
And Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
The ayes have it, your variance has been approved. Thank you. Oh, should I have stated it again? Oh, it's okay. It was on the record, right? Okay.
Stipulation.
The stipulation's on the record.
Yeah.
All right.
Motion.
All right. We have another appeal, appeal number 2017-4. Mr. George Davis, representing Probet Homes, is requesting a variance from section 17.04B and 17.078, allow the soil disturbing activities related to the construction of a dwelling and placement of a concrete sidewalk with 0-foot riparian setback in lieu of the 25-foot required for the property known as Sublot 98 on Mountainside Farms and being permanent parcel number 08-A-023-E-00-080-0 and 10-A-023-E-00-004-0. A second variance is requested from section 17.08A2, which states variances shall be void if not implemented within 1 year of the date of issuance. Mr. Davis, welcome back. The board is here to listen to you again.
Yeah, the majority of the issue is the same as on the previous variance request. I'd like to highlight the couple of differences on this one and the next two. These are unsold lots, right? So these are the ones where I just need something that I can show the clients and say, hey, you know, as long as we put the house in this block and doesn't go any farther forward, we can build your house so that they will contract and go through the, you know, and no one's gonna do it, you know, no one wants to put up that kind of money when they don't know if they can do something. So in these three cases, what I'm asking for is a variance from the time frame request of 1 year due to the fact that I may not sell all three of these in the next 12 months. Obviously, I'd love to, but it may drag out. I'm willing to come back every year on the anniversary to get a reaffirm. You know, I have to ask council how you go about, you know, whatever works for you guys. I just would like to be able to show the clients that, you know, as long as we do this type of grading and the house fits in this block, that, you know, we can build your home so that I could sell these last three lots.
On this lot, do we have that 40-foot tree deed restriction?
Yeah, we have it in all the lots. 98, which is the one we're talking about now, a good portion of the lot is that embankment that he was talking about. So, you know, like on the side where it says 70, a lot of that is like 10 or 15 foot higher, you know, because the hill's really steep at that point. So what, you know, when you're looking at the backyard, you're really looking at that 60-foot angle, and you can see we're trying to get the swale in there and stay out of the tree easement. You know, so it's a little tough on this lot due to the grading. I do not, on 98, we will not have to have the sidewalk in the riparian. It would just be for clearing and grading, and I'd be willing to, you know, if you would so graciously be inclined to allow me to amend that to say that, you know, Chad and I would work together on the final grading in the riparian. But I'm hoping that, you know, we could ask for similar variances as the last case.
How many square feet is the block that's shown here? Is this realistic, or is it?
So here's what we did. You know, the houses typically in Mountainside Farms are about 55 to 60 feet wide, right? Because they're side-load garages. So we're typically 55 to 60 feet wide. So we made it 60 feet wide. And then the depth is typically somewhere between 60 and 70, right? Most of the depths of the houses in there. So I created the block, the worst case. So it's possible that, you know, in the worst case, they still get the 60-foot rear yard. You know, if it's a little shallower house, maybe they end up with 65, 66. But, you know, it's you know, most of the homes in Mountainside are first floor masters. They have 2-story great rooms, so most of the square footage is on the first floor. You have the den and the study and laundry and everything, and then you just have a couple of bedrooms or 3 bedrooms up. So most of that 2,700 or 3,050 square feet, depending on what type of house it is on that first floor. So it's a realistic box that we have here, and the garage is exact because it requires a 3-car side load. So the garage will be, you know, exactly that size pretty much.
Because this is a different shaped lot, is that 40 foot on, I guess, like the both, well, kind of that side and back?
It'd be on the south and west line would have that 40-foot.
It's not shown at all on this drawing that we have.
Yeah, which would be that tree easement is, so this is the street, this is that hillside that goes up to Lake Erie College, and then this is that woods that's on the side of Lake Erie College here. So you have the 40-foot here and the 40-foot here. And, you know, we have our grades just about to that 40 feet.
Yeah, I measured it off, it looked like you're in there a little bit, but understood it's not the same kind of drawing that the other submittal was.
Yeah, and the weird thing about this lot, 98, is all of this is 10, 15 feet higher than the, I mean, it's not even usable. You got to walk up a cliff basically to get to it. So, you know, you have to put the house over to this side because of the
that and the lot sits about, the house sits about 10 feet higher than the road too. So yeah, we have to spread that grade out across on the driveway just to get up to the site.
Yeah,
This house driveway's at about a 10% slope coming up to get to the house.
The grading on, let's see, I guess the east side at the road, is that really that necessary? I mean, it looks like it's just
Well, that's what Chad said he'd like to see changed, and I'm willing to work with him on that.
So yeah, it doesn't seem like it'd really be.
We just, what I
needed to-
don't want to have is where the driveway ends and you drop off like 3 feet.
Yeah, I get
mean, the
that.
driveway's only 16 feet wide. You don't want to fall off a 3 or 4 foot cliff, so we got to go a little bit, but it's a little aggressive on this lot.
Off of that road there, it seems like
Yep.
we've gone quite a bit.
Yeah, like this, you're talking about this part right here.
Yeah.
We could bring that back. You know, the existing grades go this way. We were just rounding it a little bit, but we could follow that.
Then on the, is there room to shift this one back? It seems like this one's got, even with the 40 foot, again, kind of plotting it on there. Looks like there's some room to shift it back. Can we get it back a little bit more so we could get a little bit less fill here in front of the garage?
Yeah, so I would agree, you know, in the spirit of compromise, if we push the house back 5 feet, that would be acceptable.
Okay.
Does that help you, Chad? Does that help you if we push it back 5 feet?
We'll have to have Chad come up when you're asking him questions so it can all be put on the record. But does anyone else on the board have any questions for Mr. Davis? No.
Again, if,
Chad, could you please come up?
Mr. Davis, let me just ask you, are you proposing to amend the application to move it back 5 feet?
Move it back 5 feet and work with Chad Egger from Soil and Water on the final contours.
On the east
front
side
of the
road.
driveway.
On the east side.
Yeah, and then if we move the house back 5 feet, we can shift the grade back 5 feet. Chad, did you have a chance to look at this second one?
I did. Again, the grading on the east side of the channel, probably a good compromise to just do the smoothing grading type of scenario that's been discussed on other lots. If you were able to rotate that house clockwise and move it back, a lot of this grading could kind of get fit into, this is the riparian setback. What do you think about that before we make that proposition to the board? Because then you're moving some of this out of here.
The only thing I would comment on that, it makes it harder to get around into the garage.
Right, because of the, you know, this house is 10, you know, this is a tough lot as it is with the 10 feet we gotta come up. And then the house isn't facing the road, your house is facing the side of the house on this lot. So, I mean, I had him rotate it back already as far as I
So
felt.
that's as far as it
that
could be
would
rotated.
comfortable
Okay.
for a client.
Okay.
You know.
So I guess one of the questions that I have is, you know, when we went out last summer and HCW flagged the ordinary high watermark on 100, did they do 98, 99, and 101? Are you sure that this setback line is where it needs to be? Because I don't believe they flagged the whole stream.
What I used on this lot was what they had originally located when they did the wetlands.
So that's not the ordinary high watermark, that's just
Well,
the
no,
channel.
that was the center of the channel.
The center line of the channel.
But this is the start of the stream, so.
Right, so that ordinary high watermark could be another 3, 4, 5, if I recall correctly, ordinary high watermark on that stream was approximately 4 feet off the center line, give or take.
Yes.
So that line, that setback line could be even further than it's shown on the site plan.
What did you say? So HCW staked 100, which was either 6 or 8 feet.
Wasn't it? Wasn't it 6?
I saw an HW truck here.
Did you guys?
Has it been staked out, the whole, every lot?
He's gotta have to come up.
Yeah, you gotta come up.
We're gonna have a party up here.
Yeah.
Ben Latouille, HCW, 6105 Heisey Road, Menor.
You've been sworn in.
I have been sworn in. I don't remember this project. You
Okay.
said this was last summer we were out there?
Last fall.
Last fall.
August or September.
Do you have a site location map?
It could have been somebody else though too.
Jason, maybe?
Yeah, it was Jason.
Jason. Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry.
All right. So
I guess my concern is that we're discussing a plan here, that this is like a generic grading plan. We don't know where the ordinary high water mark is, so we don't know where the riparian setback is. It might be premature to discuss.
But-
I know what George is trying to do. It might be premature to discuss.
But wait a
variance
minute,
right now.
Chad, but the center line of this is what they located,
Right.
where we did the wetland study. And this is the start of this channel
Yeah.
right here. And it's upstream from the last one, which was like, what, 3-4 foot wide on either side.
About
Yeah.
4 foot.
So I'm saying this is gonna be the same, if not less, because there's less flow going through.
Okay, well,
But we have enough room in here, I mean, well, we're pushing it 5 feet back.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
We're making assumptions
But-
on something that's
Well,
supposed to be
well,
on a map in an application.
Well, for my understanding, based on where they had originally located this, I don't think it's moved, okay?
The stream.
So, okay, even if the stream is in the same location, right? The ordinary high water mark is not shown on this drawing, and
Well, it
riparian
is.
setback is supposed to be based off of that ordinary high water mark?
Well, we did, on lot 100, HCW went out and they staked the high water mark.
Yes. And
Lot
that was shown on the
100, yeah, that
drawing.
was 8 feet. What Joe did is he continued that same width back up the hill. So we're still that same width.
That's
off
the issue
center
with
line.
that, though. Is ordinary high water marks are not a fixed width. They're based on an elevation on the slope. So if you've got undulations on the bank on either side, the change where that elevation meets the landscape, your ordinary high water mark isn't going to be like this as you look down a stream valley. It's going to change. It's typically closer on the inside of closer on the outside of a meander, farther away from the stream on the inside of a meander, so it changes. So that's one of my concerns.
But we could stipulate that we would work with him on that with the grading. If you're okay with that.
I'm fine with working with anybody on
because
grading, but
what I
we're
would
supposed to show
suggest-
these things on a plan yet.
Well,
So-
we are with the information we have showing on the plan. What I would suggest is if it's way grossly different than what's on this plan, then we would come back. But if it's consistent with what's on here,
That's up to them to decide.
Yeah, but I'm just
I
saying-
work on the grading, obviously George and Dave's crew. Talk about that. It's got the same meander issue. It'd be nice when you do lay out the contours to make sure we're keeping the slope as far away from that slight meander there as possible. So, yep, that will help, so.
Okay.
Those are my comments.
Thank you, Chad.
You're welcome.
Does the board have any other questions for Chad?
No.
Mr. Davis, can you come up? I probably got one question. I want to try to work through this and get this resolved. I think we're going to need the legal to chime in when I'm out of line. So we're gonna approve, you're asking us to approve something tonight, which has to hold true going forward when you go to build the house, which may be a smaller house, probably not gonna be a bigger house. Sounds like you really thought that through. We have to somehow confirm this ordinary high water mark to establish that setback for the home, which may be within a foot of this, or maybe even in your benefit, maybe even be the other way, I suppose. We don't know. But what we have to approve tonight is that this is where the house is gonna be built. Even if the shape changes a little bit, it's not gonna encroach any further, I believe, correct? And we gotta prove that this is gonna be, this will be your grading limits when you come back to build that house and pull your permits, correct?
correct.
So you had talked about shifting the home and the grading back 5 feet as a compromise based on with the given information tonight.
Right,
Which
it's
may be correct or slightly incorrect, we don't know how accurate it is. For the sake of this conversation, to continue this and get this wrapped up tonight, I just want to ask, can that 5 feet maybe increase a little bit more, because we're not sure where that ordinary high water mark is. Because based on this, we're banking that we're getting a 5-foot, compromise, and it makes the situation potentially better, but we don't really know. So can that bump a little bit more?
What if I just say we'll go 5 feet off the west side of the high water? So we're moving wherever the high water ends up being, we're moving 5 feet back.
The grading won't be within that 5 feet of the ordinary high water mark filling and things like that.
Do you know what I mean by that, Jay? Does that make sense?
So just, so if that high water actually moves 2 feet, then we're actually moving 7 feet back,
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. The only thing I would say, it's not really consistent throughout, because here, you're not even close. So we'll just say that would be one in this little corner here. Okay.
Yeah, that would be acceptable.
You guys got anything else? No? Oh, then we need to discuss your second variance, which is that, we have a 1-year limit, and that you want that. So what are you looking for, so it's not 100% clear to me. Are you looking for 2-year limit, or are you looking forever, or you mentioned maybe coming back every year?
Yeah, I just want, my concern is obviously we're going to try to sell these 3 lots this year, right? But if we don't, I don't want to, how do I say this correctly? Politicalness of boards can change. And so, we'd like to know that, if I sell a house 13 months from now, that we don't have to start all over again. So if we, maybe come back for an affirmation, if you could do that, or extend it.
It wouldn't be we couldn't just leave it open and you're guaranteed a renewal, right?
Right.
So I'd be more comfortable if there was a time limit on it.
Why don't we say 2 years?
Or you resubmit.
Would 3 years be okay? That would take us through the end of our contract, which, gosh, I hope I'm done by then.
So it's open for 3 years?
I think that's fine.
Would you need to come back then every year? Just, nothing, then it's set. And then it expires in 3 years if you need to
If
come.
nothing has been implemented, it would be void after 3 years.
Okay, and that would include construction and everything, okay. So the variance would, if he's in the middle of construction, say it's at the middle, but since.
You would start utilizing the variance within that period.
Yeah, he just has to start it, okay. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. All right, I think I got it. It's clear as mud. Thank you, please be seated. Is there anyone else here tonight speaking for or against this appeal? They'd like to come up? Okay, if there's no further questions, a public hearing for variance number 2017-4 is now closed to the public. I will entertain a motion to approve variance number 2017-4 based on the fact that Mr. Davis will work with Chad from Soil and Water, or work with Soil and Water, and will attempt to move the home and grading back 5 feet in this pinched area in front of the garage and front door from the ordinary high water mark. And they will also only smooth out the grading on the east side. And that the variance will be, will expire after 3 years.
Take the word attempt out, that you will move it back.
Yes, they will move it back, thank you. 5 feet from the ordinary high water mark, the whole home and grading. Is there?
So moved.
Second? Second. Thank you. Any further discussion, or we would belabor this enough?
I think it's good.
Okay.
Pretty well.
The question is on approval of variance number 2017-4 with the stipulations as described. A yes vote is for the approval of the variance, a no vote denies it, the variance. Heather, please call the vote.
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Valenti?
Yes.
Ms. Gerald?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
All right, your appeal's been, or your variance has been approved, thank you. All right, you know the drill. The next one is appeal, or variance number 2017-5. Mr. George Davis, representing Probate Homes, is requesting a variance from section 17.04B and 17.07A to allow for soil disturbing activities related to the construction of a dwelling and placement of a concrete walk with a 0-foot riparian setback in lieu of the 25 feet required for the property known as Sublet 99 of Mountainside Farms, and being permanent parcel numbers 08-A-023-E-00-081-0 and 10-A-023-E-00-005-0. A second variance is also requested from section 17.08, which states variances shall not be void if implemented within 1 year of the issuance. Yes.
We need a 2-minute intermission.
Okay. I am going, the board is requesting that we have a quick 2-minute intermission, recess. The motion is to recess the meeting for 2 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Please vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're in recess for the next 2 minutes.
Go, Skip, go.